And I have in the studio with me the two and only Tegan and Sara. Sara, they're back in Australia. The new album, Heartthrob, is the general topic of conversation, as well as Groove in the Moo on Sunday and a sideshow here in little old Perth. So the twins are with me in the studio now. Good morning, guys. How you going?
We're doing really good. We're having a great time here in Perth. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, well, look, we were just talking off air about the last time you took an interview here at RTFM, and the spew was involved.
Well, I was just saying that Tegan and I came here. I guess it wasn't the last time we were in Perth, but it was the last time we were at your radio station. But we had just flown in and from the U.S. and I was under the weather. I had the flu, and I came in and we did an interview. And I remember this very, very well because I had to use your facilities to take care of some business, and I was very embarrassed taking care of some digestive business in your bathroom. But yes, there was some spew involved, and I'll never forget it, and I'll never forget you guys because you were very. You guys barely blinked when I had to do it, so it was fine.
Well, look, thank you very much
do a lot of artists have to spew when they come here?
Look, not in my experience, but look, I don't know. Maybe they all do it, and none of them else tell us about it. Yeah.
You know what's so funny is that was when I started to realize that Australia has like some really wonderful medicine. Like you guys have a lot of things that are available that aren't available in the US and in Canada, and also available without a prescription, which we just totally stock up. When we're here.
Yeah, like what?
Oh my God, there's this one thing, I can't think of what the name of it is, but it's like a sort of effervescent, almost like an Alka-Seltzer. You drop it in water and it bubbles up, and you sort of chug it back after you've.
Are you talking about Baraka?
No, it's not Baraka. It's something else.
Soluble aspirin?
It's not soluble aspirin, but it's some kind of like, it's sort of like a settles your stomach, and it's something to do with electrolytes. It'll like replenish your electrolytes after you've barfed.
Very cool. And you can't get that; just doesn't exist. So
it doesn't exist in the capacity it exists here, which we were just like, Australia rules.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, apart from the awesome medicine that you're able to get here, how are you going in Australia this time around?
It's been great. We've been here for like 2.5 weeks, and we've been doing Groove in the Moo, and then also some sideshows in Sydney and Brisbane and Adelaide and Melbourne, and now we're here in Perth, and we're really excited. But it's been great. We love Australia. People, it's so funny because I think that our new record has exposed us to a lot of new people, so they think this is our first time here, which is really exciting.
Patently untrue, however.
This is our 7th time to Australia, but it's nice. People are really like going out of their way to make sure we have a great time. So I'm going to stop telling people we've been here before, and just each time we come here, pretend it's our first time.
Yeah. Awesome. That's really cool. And so, new album, new tunes, touring again. What do you find is different for you this time around compared to, say, other tours?
It's interesting. We're in a kind of like a cool phase of our career. We have a lot of back catalog, obviously. We have 7 records now. So each record, it's important to us. And like you said, it's sort of like the conversation is sort of centered around the new record, Heartthrob. But, we have a really diehard fan base. And I think they come to the shows to see the new material, but also the old songs that they love. And so we're kind of in this really cool place right now where we can still continue to push boundaries and make new fans and put out new records. But I think
we're also at the cool part of our career where we can do a medley. We're doing like a medley of like 9 old songs from the early records, and so it's an exciting time because we're not that kind of band that just has to get up and play their new record. We have so much catalog to pull from. It really makes for a fun night.
Yeah, and it sort of means that there's risk involved certainly in changing up your sound, and I think this record's a bit more like poppy, I guess, compared to what we've done in the past. But I think we sort of have like the diehard fan base that's going to support us through that. So it's cool. It's like a fun show. We're playing a lot of the new record, but it's also, like Tegan said, it's fun to go back into the back catalog and have people sing along, and it's cool.
Okay, so favourite track off the new record and favourite track to play at a show off the back catalogue?
Oh, man.
The new record, every song on the new record is really challenging in its own way, so they're all really exciting to play right now. I get those like kind of weird nervous butterflies when it's time to play a new track, but I think that the one that's probably shocked and surprised us the most, it's a great song, but it's late in the record and you always worry people will miss it, is a song called Now I'm All Messed Up. And starting right from when we were doing promotions for the record 3 months before it even came out, when we would play that song, it was like, I don't know, you could just feel the attention of people in the audience coming back to us. Not that it had waned, but we were out opening for the Killers and we were opening for the Black Keys, and so they kind of knew who we were, but they didn't. But when we played that new song, it's just such an emotional, intense song. I think live, it's definitely one of the standouts from the new record for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. And from the back catalog, it just a lot of times the songs that I most enjoy are the ones that the audience seems to enjoy the most. So right now, we're stripping down in the encore songs like 19 and Call It Off from the Con. And I think, that probably in Australia, I would say that the Con was our biggest record. And it seems to have been the most popular in terms of, success on radio and that sort of thing. So those songs seem to really resonate with the Australian audience. And it really is a thrill to hear, 1,500 people singing a song that we're just playing acoustically. Like, you don't need all the bells and whistles of production and tracks and whatever. You just have a bunch of people singing some words and melody. It's really cool.
Yeah, nice one. And look, to get onto something a little more serious, something that the RTR communities feels really strongly about is support of the LGBTI community. And you guys are outspoken advocates of that. What sort of an impact do you think it has having public figures such as yourselves, as role models in that space?
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've been in the music business now for 10 plus years, and you've just seen like a massive change worldwide about these kinds of issues. And, from very early on in our career, Sarah and I just were very open about, being queer and being alternative. We just we sort of loved the world that came up around us because of it. But we were quite insulated, I think, from like how maybe we were perceived in the mainstream because we were so disconnected from the mainstream. But the last few years, because we've become more like we've been embraced by the mainstream, it's really interesting to see how queer culture has really become part of mainstream culture. From the very obvious stuff like Ellen DeGeneres being such a massive TV star, to Glee having so many incredible storylines about gay characters, to, a range of artists coming out and people being almost somewhat like, oh yeah, cool, that's great, from Frank Ocean this year, to us being on, pop radio, and people just don't seem to care that much. So the exciting part of that is I think it's probably igniting a lot of like passion in a lot of artists like us, and then our allies. We're really good friends with the band Fun, and they've spent most of the last 2 years supporting and speaking out for marriage equality worldwide, which is just incredible. So I think it's so important when you have a platform like we do to speak out about what you believe in. Our job as musicians is to write great music. It's not to necessarily preach our beliefs, but I think when you have an opportunity to stand in front of a big crowd of people and say, hey, the world has changed, get on the right side here. You got to change with it. My
God. Yeah.
It's
like,
amazing.
You want to see culture inform legislation as well. And we were talking about that off air before we started this, that, we want to see countries legalize same-sex marriage. And, culture right now is informing that legislation, and hopefully legislation will continue to inform culture around the world and societies around the world. So it's an exciting time. We're really into it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And in sort of reading some of the research, I had a look on your website, and amongst vampires and rearranging furniture, you list self-soothing as something that you enjoy. So the two questions there. What exactly is self-soothing, and what is it that causes you to need to self-soothe?
We always joke around that self-soothing was sort of probably something that we started in the womb, being twins. We've always sort of had like a buddy. I think a lot of people who were just sort of born of normal traditional circumstances on their own, I think they've learned how to sort of take care of themselves and whatever. So I always imagine in my mind that I've always been a little bit needier just because I've always had somebody around since conception. So self-soothing is sort of that behavior that comes when there isn't somebody around to hang out with or to soothe you. So that can be like eating or watching TV, or in my case, like I self-soothe by, like I'm a avid reader. So like, I mean, it's as simple as that. Like I always sort of have to have something around that will like help me sort of like, I guess, get my equilibrium back in check, That's the serious answer, is that it's sort of like
it became kind of like a catchphrase with us sort of in the mid 2000s, because, we both had gone through very serious breakups, and my mom was like, you need to self-soothe. So the idea is that you find a healthy way to get through your hard times.
Yeah.
You don't just like, drink and party.
I mean,
and there's levels of healthy. I mean, eating a whole tub of ice cream to yourself probably happens.
For
right?
me, it was
not food related for me, self-soothing. Otherwise, I'd be really out of control. But I mean, in a way, the musical process is like self-soothing. I always break it down in this idea that writing a song is sort of a little bit about self-analysis and sort of self-loathing, and then the end result is sort of self-soothing. You're able to sort of churn all of your feelings and emotions into a song, and I guess that's a productive way. Maybe a better, more productive way than eating a tub of ice cream.
Yeah, that sort of seems to be the standard. But
or drinking a bottle of wine,
not so
which
much.
I occasionally will substitute drinking a bottle of wine for writing a song.
Very cool. Well, look, guys, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for having us.
And I
Thank
hope you can self-soothe your way through the rest of this tour and the next. Metro City tonight is the gig, and I think you may be able to get tickets to that if you're lucky.
Yep.
And then Groove in the Moo on Sunday. That's down in Bunbury, and around the country. Is this last stop?
This is the last stop, actually.
Last stop.
Perth and Bunbury are our last shows here in Australia. So,
well, lucky everyone.
Here's your chance.
You could self-soothe with us over
Yeah.
the next couple of days if you need it.
I would definitely recommend that. Heartthrob is the new album filled with golden nuggets of indie pop. So, Ms. Quinn and Ms. Quinn, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been an RTRFM podcast. RTRFM is an independent community radio station that relies on the public for financial support. You can subscribe online at rtrfm.com.au/subscribe.